I'm amazed today by the clamor that certain people in the society are making. We want to marry our own sex, men marrying men, women marrying women. And these are powerful folks. They're attorneys, medical doctors, they got big bucks, and so on. And all they want to do in life is to have their own sex. Or some want to become the other sex. And you know, history, okay, how did we come to this place where this is becoming so prevalent and so on? And mind you, they have laws where you can discourage a child from developing that sort of feeling or attitude, and then later on, when they get old, you know, and then it's a problem. We should be able to control our children and say, listen, this is the way it ought to be. If when they grow up and they become adults and they want to do anything else, that's fine. Okay? Now, this thing grew very insidiously on society. I recall in the 60s and earlier, you had unisex, and they started coming up with where men are now taking more pride in their appearance. See this guy with a mirror, and every time you look in his face in the mirror and playing around with his face like women. Also, men are going and do, you know, fine things like cutting their nails and the toenails and, you know, all this thing like beautifying themselves and so on. And so now it has become full blown where man wants to marry a man and women want to marry women. And I asked a lesbian, I say, what goes on? She said, oh, we use the dildo and we use cologne. So the dildo wielding one puts on cologne so she smells like a man. And I guess sometimes they exchange it back and forth. I don't understand this stuff that's going on. But the bottom line though is that this thing is becoming ridiculous. And again, people don't seem to have read or their education is kind of shot. I mean, look, when you're born, your sex is. Oh, they came to this idea that at conception, the sex of a child is not determined. Sometime later, some hormone kicks in. They also said that the gay men have a different size brain. I don't know. You could say how you could do that. Like if everybody has a brain size, same size, and then you know all this kind of stupidness they're coming up with. So with the poor education we're given in schools, where you don't have to know nothing, people are coming back now and trying to reinvent the wheel. I learned that you're either X or Y, and happens at conception. Um, Furthermore, if you find a bone down the road with some genetic material, you could determine if it's a male or a female. And I mean, with men, what point is there in this anal sex thing? You know, and this thing leads to further disease because some of them don't even wash up properly, and then they might have another woman, and so she goes and does oral on him, or he goes and do vaginal sex, and then he puts that, you know, bacteria and a whole bunch of things keep going on and on. I think that these folks here, you know, want to be big and powerful and so on. They should try to conquer something, you know, want to make something better or whatever. You know, maybe something fantastic than trying to be a woman or whatever. And we have Sodom and Gomorrah. I don't think the principle has changed, and God has already shown the type of people who will be outside of heaven. Now, I saw an article where they were saying that the black churches need to stop preaching against it and encourage it or whatever. I mean, where are we going with this thing? But the real deal would be if everybody becomes gay, then society is going to end because you're going to live together with this person, and then it ends up where. So the bottom line is that if everybody were to marry their own sex, then society is going to come to an end. But then what they're also doing now, they're expecting the government to take people's kids away and give it to them. Or they're complicating life more. These two men live together and then they want some woman to make a child for them. Or these two women live together and they want to have a sperm donor. Sometimes both of them want to make kids. I mean, folks got to make a decision what you really want to do. And many of them, you know, saying that they're born this way or whatever, but the scripture makes it clear. But you see, they don't believe the scriptures, and there's a problem. The Bible says because people do not recognize God or worship God or serve Him, He's going to allow the devil to take them over, and He's going to make them want to go and have their own kind. So that people who are into same sex, I mean, are they controlled by the devil? I mean, that's what scripture saying. I don't know. What do you think? and they're pressuring governments now, and the government's caving in and giving them what they want. But some governments realize that, or individuals that, look, this thing can destroy our society because except God revives us and works with us and blesses us, it's over, right? Um, Finally, they are expecting me and you and government and the courts and the legislature to give them their rights. But you see, nobody could give you a right that you don't have. And God has not given us the right to marry our own sex. There's not a right like that. And even the state and the Supreme Court and everybody say, you have this right. I mean, how they can be satisfied because it's not a right. To try to say this is like black people when they hadn't the rights and all that. But that's a different thing. I mean, you can't say racial discrimination is just like, uh, I'm not talking about discriminating against them, but in other words, know that in the law, blacks have equal opportunities like whites. They're saying that it's similar to having equal, in other words, gay marriage or same-sex marriage is just equal to heterosexual marriage. And we can't say that. In other words, I often wonder, how does a homosexual man dream? Does he dream that he's a lady, or that he's having sex with a man, or does he dream that he's having kids with some woman down the road, or say one went and did the gender change, and a situation presents itself during the night. What's the dream? Does he dream that he's some lady trying to get protection from the government, or is a man fighting, down and shouting with a hoarse voice or whatever? So these are things that we need to understand. And you know what? I personally don't care what anybody wants to marry or what they want to do. But don't come and flaunt it in my face and trying to make me want to say and sign on the line that you could do this. I mean, do it. I mean, don't bother me. Just go and do it. And don't try to make our kids feel that this is normal and so on. You know what I mean? Don't, you confuse society. Just do your stuff and go away. All right? Because as I said, we can't make you feel happy. Don't mind what you do. You can always find that, oh, we need this and we need that, because it's not fulfilling and it's not a right that God has given you, and He's going to be harassing you at night. Your conscience is going to be bothering you. So, I mean, I don't understand why in a civilized, advanced nation like this, people are going to be trying to do things that are impossible. And this is one of the things that's impossible.